So I have a project that I want to do. Well, I don't want to do it. I'm actually real sick and tired of this particular project. This will be the third time I work on it, but you know what they say, third time's the charm. Alright, get my project clothes on and I'm ready to dive in. This is going to actually be a two-part video. I'm kind of winging it as I go and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is what I want, if that makes sense. If you've been with my channel for any length of time, you know that I've made over my island twice before. First time I just painted it with a magnolia paint color that was kind of like a blue-green. It was really, really pretty, but then when I got the idea to change the kitchen and do the kitchen redesign, that didn't fit anymore. So I decided to paint it black. But through my own fault, nobody's but my own, I do know better, I did not lay any type of a foundation. I did no prep work. I literally put the paint right over the other paint, and it didn't last. Well, I'm making it over again, and this will be the last time, hopefully. I want to make sure I do it right, and I want to make sure that I get the island that I want, or at least as close to the island that I want as I can potentially get while staying on my pocket change budget. My kitchen vision does include a fabulous island, and I have the island, but it's not too fabulous. It's very plain and it's very, very narrow, but it's a very solid piece. There's really nothing wrong with it other than aesthetics, which we all know I love to change. Now, I was looking at all different styles of island, and I even priced some to see what it would be to replace this island, and they are very expensive. And I'm not talking about getting an island out of a box that you put together. I'm talking about a custom island built the way that I want it to look. That is not cheap. And I found myself gravitating towards the islands that have like storage on them, whether it's for cookbooks or for cutting boards or for both. I came up with a plan of my own for how I can change my existing island to kind of give me exactly what I'm looking for in a dream island. It's not my dream island. It's never going to be my dream island because I can't get to my dream island for what I have to work with. And I want to make the most out of what I have. The biggest fault that it has is that it's very narrow. It's narrow like this because originally in the kitchen, this used to be butt up against the wall where the microwave is, which is why the floor looks like this. And if you remember, I used to have a wall oven behind it. So I don't really understand how that worked. It seems like it would have been a very cramped little area, but nonetheless, this is where this island used to be. This used to be an eat-in kitchen. The dining room used to be a bedroom, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I spent some time while Scott and I were hanging out, chilling one night with a sketch pad and just started kind of rough sketching what I would like to do to the island to make it custom, make it a little bit more pretty, dress it up a bit. And I came up with a really easy plan. At least I think it's going to be easy. You know, I'm not Tim the Toolman Taylor. I'm not afraid of tools. I'm comfortable with tools, but that doesn't mean that I've done everything. And I've never kind of built furniture, if you will. And I'm confident that I know enough to build something correctly. I just don't have the experience, but that's all going to change today. From that sketch and the dimensions that I jotted down, I'm gonna head out to my shop with my cutting list. Now, honestly, if you're doing any type of a project, I cannot stress enough, you know, measure 3 times, cut once. Go over everything, make sure everything is right, and make a cut list. Make something that you can look at and check off to know that you have all of the pieces to put your vision together with. When I went to Lowe's, I did not buy just rough, cheap wood, but I didn't buy the most expensive either. I went right down the middle with a decent grade wood that I could stain or paint if I wanted to, but I'm not staining it. Here's where my little dilemma comes in, and I'm not going to know how this is going to turn out until we get there. I have two different colors for cabinets in my kitchen. I have a gorgeous blue called Waterloo by Sherwin-Williams, and I have that on my two freestanding pieces that I did over, and I love how they look with that antique glaze finish. And then on my lower cabinets on this side of the kitchen, I wanted to brighten them up with that Benjamin Moore White Dove. That is the color that's on my bottom cabinets. And I loved how that opened up the space visually with this light and airy feeling. But I don't know if I want my island to be white or to be blue. So that's a fork in the road that I'm gonna really have to look at when we get there. Scott bought me this really cool Craig jig that I'm dying to try out, and I think this is the perfect project for that. So just head out to my current studio and start cutting. I have a brilliant idea for repurposing these curtain finials. My pieces are assembled and now it's time to start working on the island. I am going to lay down a proper foundation by using my Sticks primer. This is the best primer in the world, in my opinion. I make nothing for telling you that. This is just a great product. It's not called Sticks for nothing. This will be the perfect base for my paint to go on top. And I decided I'm just gonna start with the blue and see how it looks. All the pieces of this island have been primed with 2 coats of the Sticks, and I let each coat dry thoroughly before applying the next one. That's a super important step, and now I'm ready to put on my Waterloo blue. I really do love this color. I think it's a gorgeous shade of blue. I love the depth, I love the darkness to it, and I love the tone that it actually gives. But as I'm pouring it and looking at it, my mind and my heart is really saying this is not going to be the color. But again, I am not going to know unless I see it on there. I am a very visual person. I need to see things in place to know. I mean, I would think anybody would be that way, right? How do you know if you like something unless you truly see it? What looks good in one spot or in one area doesn't necessarily look good in another. And that's a huge part of design is trial and error. Believe me, I have enough errors to cover the bases there, but I'm putting it on and I am not thinking this is the right color, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, that's 2 coats and I am going to let it sit and cure and I'm going to end the video here. I don't know if blue was the right choice. I think it might need to be white, but I'm going to live with it for a couple of days before I make the decision. I find that that's the best way to tell if something really does fit or not is you can't judge by a split second. You need to take a couple hot moments to see if it's worth it or not. We'll see where we pick up next week. It'll be a surprise for both of us. I hope you enjoyed part 1 and be sure to come back next week for part 2 because you are not going to want to miss this all put together and changed. And the way I'm going to use those window finials in a whole new light is probably one of the most clever aspects of this design. All that work. I don't think it's right. You're not right. You want to be white, don't you? Oh well, that's how it goes. All right, guys, I will see you next week for part 2. Bye.